Last week we had an evidence session and they were very clear. There's a difference between a victim, an innocent victim, and a perpetrator. Whereas it seems very clear from what you've said today that you don't see any distinguishing difference between.
Listen, people are dead who died in the conflict. It's the grieving relatives that are left behind. And, you know, I don't want to go down this argument about who's the victim and who's not. You know, it just ends up upsetting families. It ends up in all sorts of unsavoury places and rabbit holes. The bottom line is the 2006 order defines a victim. It's the legal definition, and that's what we work to, and we work with all families.
You must understand and recognise that there'll be a large amount of victims out there who won't come to your organisation to seek help simply because, you know, there has to be a clear difference between an innocent victim and a perpetrator. I listened to a podcast from a member of Relatives for Justice on the back of Cluno. I listened to a podcast which was talking about IRA volunteers. Surely, you know, they were members of a terrorist organisation, a prescribed organisation. For a victims group not to call that out, I find that deeply regrettable.
Well,
sorry, just before we go on, for the best use of committee time, we're here to talk about legacy issues, we're here to talk about ICRA, we're here to talk about victims and survivors. So if we can move on to another area of questioning that you maybe got in front of you there, please, Timothy.
So,
Chair, can I just point of order here?
Please, go ahead.
So, we're not here to badger witnesses. We're not here to intimidate people coming in front of us. Or we're not here to be smart alecks. We're here to provide scrutiny. And if Timothy Gaston persists in going down this route, I would be encouraging these people to make a complaint. Because it's the second panel he's done it with.
Okay, so Timothy had just indicated that he was...
Can I just one wee point there?
Sorry, I was just making a point, please. So Timothy has agreed to move on to another line of questioning.
So, and anybody that wishes to make a complaint, by all means, the process is there to go through and explore that. Where I was going to next was regarding the current process. Certainly the way I look at the current process is that this is to put security forces and the state in the dock. That's the only way that this current process will end up. The security forces, the state, kept records. They had paperwork, whereas those in terrorist organisations didn't. So I'd like to understand, or like your thoughts on that. Like, where do you see this process ending up? Simply because, you know, we're talking about getting truth and we're talking about getting justice. But those families that have suffered at the hands of terrorism don't have access to any minutes. They don't have access to any records. So ultimately, the direction of travel for this is to put the state and the security forces in the dock to have their day in court. And those that have suffered at the hands of terrorists will be watching on from the sidelines.
I'm going to bring Raymond in first because